This is Master Your Mindset with Coach Mark.
Hey guys, what is going on, my people, and welcome back to another Monday episode. It's been a little while since I did an episode. I know it might not feel like it for you guys, considering you have just been listening to this on, all the things that I kind of like recorded in the past. But it has been a little bit of a while. I came down with a big C, and let me tell you, when it comes to having an autoimmune disease and COVID, it is very, very difficult to navigate. So if you hear a little bit of weirdness in my voice, it's still here. It is still here, but we must move on because I have some leadership goals, and I know you guys do too. So today, I put together a training that was actually launching my brand new course that I have. It's called the Ideal Leader Blueprint. And in that course, I talked a lot about leadership and how becoming an influential leader is that thing that is going to help you lead effectively in all areas of your life, including leading yourself, leading your family, and leading professionally in your business or in your career. And one of the things that I started off with is like why we make leadership so hard. Why we make leadership so hard. And a lot of that has to do with we kind of like talk ourselves out of being leaders. We talk ourselves out of putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations. We talk ourselves out of like actually going out there and going for it, right? And the reason why this is the case, though, is the stories and the beliefs that we have about leadership. So I want to share like 5 of them with you guys today. And these are really the reasons why leadership is so hard. Number 1 is you think that you have to have a lot of experience before you can lead. You think you have to have gone through it all. You think you've had a certain amount of hours on the job or years on the job. You think that there's this thought of like, you know what? I really need to have more experience before I can actually lead others. And we fail to like realize there's so many other people who just want to get to where you are that like we don't even realize we're actually holding ourselves back by not being able to lead them by talking ourselves out of it. The second one is you're either born a great leader or you're not. You're either born a great leader or you're not. Like this is that whole thing of like, hey, either I'm really great at leading or I'm terrible at it, and it's nothing that there's nothing that I can ever do to develop the skill of leading people. And that is all false news. The next one is you have to be charismatic or an extrovert in order to be a good leader. Most of the great leaders that I know are introverts. Like there are some great extroverts that are out there, but whether or not and how your personality is does not mean whether or not you're going to be able to be an effective leader. It has to do with the skills that you're able to develop. And so if you have this thought that you have to be charismatic or an extrovert, and guess what? You're an introvert. It's very easy to talk yourself out of doing it. Number 4 is you have to be perfect or you're just not a good leader. How many of you guys ever think that? Like, I have to always make the right decisions. I have to always take the right actions. I have to always say the right things or I'm not going to be a great leader. Actually, many of the times that I feel like I connect more with the leaders who make mistakes. I'm not sure if you've heard just in this podcast, I've made like 5 or 6 mistakes along the way so far. And it's only been like minute 3 right now. And it's not because we have to strive for perfection. It's just the mere fact of trying to be perfect is something that is not something that anybody would ever be able to accomplish in and of itself. And being perfect, thinking you have to be perfect to your people is actually kind of like putting on this fake facade that gets them to think that they have to be perfect when they take up that leadership role too. And I never want anybody to think that they have to be perfect. And the last piece is you have to reach a certain level before you can influence people. I know I did a podcast on this recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago, about how with the politics in LAPD when it comes to being a P3 and how like I thought that I needed to be in the in crowd. I thought that I needed to reach a certain level. I thought that I had to have a number of years on the department, and that wasn't the case at all. And so whenever you have any of these thoughts, guys, any of these 5 different thoughts I just talked to you guys about, it will do whatever it can. They will do whatever they can to actually get you to not take action. And the reason why leadership is so hard is because we hear these things over and over again, or they're implanted in our brain over and over and over again. But they are all lies. They're all lies. Now, what most people do is they hear these things that kind of pop up into their mind, And they figure, you know what? Well, I'm not good enough to lead. So I guess I won't go out there and I won't do these things. I won't take this action until I achieve this certain thing. Once I'm like way over here, once I get to have all of these things, then I can start to become that type of person. And what that leads to is you constantly sitting in the back of the room, you constantly hiding, not really showing up as the leader that you could potentially be. That's why focusing on your limiting beliefs and letting them take over your mind is like the worst leadership decision you can make. Remember, like there's this process of leading that always begins with you leading yourself. And if what pops into your head first are the limiting beliefs and you don't realize that you can actually lead yourself down a different path, it's very difficult to lead others when they are having those same kind of limiting beliefs too, because I feel like you earn the right to lead others by being more effective at leading yourself. Now, I want to give you an idea of what something you can focus on that will actually help you in this area, right? And this is something that we share inside of our course, the Ideal Leader Blueprint. It's called attacking self-sabotage, okay? Attacking self-sabotage. We have a bunch of different skills that we use to attack self-sabotage, but I think the most important piece is the one I want to talk to you about today, and that's realizing what the self-sabotage piece is set up to do. So self-sabotage is your head voice. For those who aren't inside of the Push Coach certification with Josh and I, there's this head versus your heart. These are two places that it kind of like speaks to you in your life. Your head voice is kind of designed to keep you safe, all right? So anytime that you, like, it will throw anything possible towards you to get you to not take action. Now, sorry, got to grab this piece of paper that I dropped down. And when you have these thoughts of you have to have a lot of experience before you can lead. You're either born a great leader or you're not. You have to be charismatic or be an extrovert to be a good leader. You have to be perfect or you're not a good leader. You have to reach a certain level before you can influence people. Anytime something like that pops up, your head voice will be like, let's grab onto that, because guess what you won't be doing? You won't be leading. You won't be doing anything uncomfortable. You won't be putting yourself out there, and you'll be like being back to the comfortableness, there you go, that you are used to being at. And that's not really where growth is, right? But when you understand that that's what your head is trying to get you to do, you can make a different decision. Now, we don't have time on this podcast to really go into our heart voice. It's something that we do teach inside of all of our programs. But really, your heart voice comes from a different place. It's kind of like that voice where, like, if your kid comes up to you and asks you if something's possible, like if they would want to become X, Y, and Z when they get older, it's this over feeling of like hope, of potential, of abundance, of purpose. And it's like, absolutely, you're going to be able to achieve that. Well, you can do that same thing with yourself, all right? But the first piece of that has to be you identifying why your head voice is there. So anytime you hear something like this kind of pop up, anytime that something around leadership, around stepping up, around raising your hand, around doing anything like that pops up, I want you to understand that is there to keep you safe. But keeping you safe is not what a leader is there for. A leader is there to kind of like step out, is to like literally raise their hand first, to be the person who's going to create the path, not the one who's following the path. Even though following the path is great sometimes, but sometimes you got to step out. You got to say, hey, listen, this is uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it anyway. And as a matter of fact, people will respect you as a leader when you do that. So this week, I want you to really think about this. Anytime you're offered the ability of like stepping into a leadership role, which by the way is not somebody saying, hey, would you like to have a leadership role? No, it's like there's an opportunity that presents itself. You feel a little uncomfortable. You don't know whether or not you should say it, and you step up and you do it anyway. That is literally what you're doing, is you're being able to like take this head voice and transform it into your heart voice and really get out there and lead with the abilities that you already have. All right. All right, guys. I hope this podcast, I know it was super short, but I hope this was helpful for you. If you do want to get some help around influence, you want to learn the skill of not only influencing people, but getting them to show up on their A game, taking action, not for you, but because it really benefits them too. Definitely dive into our Ideal Leader Blueprint. You can find out the details at mindsetwithmark.com/blueprint, where we will help you develop yourself into an influential leader that you never have to second guess your opinions or your ideas or your actions ever again. All right, guys, let's end with a quote here. So the best coaches and leaders refuse to use shame as a way to get those they lead to take the right actions. So the best coaches and leaders refuse to use shame as a way to get those they lead to take the right actions. You will never find me using shame or anything, any kind of negative feeling to get you to take the actions you want to take, because those are just the fear. That's the head voice. I'm using the head voice to get you to take action. And that is never where I want to be. I want to be from the heart voice. And so keep finding those powerful questions, keep empowering people. And I appreciate you guys for listening. All right. You guys have an incredible week, and I'll see you on Thursday. All right. Bye, everybody.